Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Monir El Azzouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we will talking about UDI. UDI is a big topic, so we have now small sections of UDI and we'll talk mainly about that. And we'll specifically try to guide you through the Master UDI-DI, which is the newborn of UDI. So and let's talk about that. And for that, I have with me Hussam. So Hussam, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Monir. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be on this podcast. Thank you for all the fantastic work you've been doing with the podcast, with the EIFU, the consultancy. You're doing a fabulous job. So keep it up, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, really. Thank you for your nice words. So Hussam, you are from UDI Experts. You have created this company, UDI Experts. So can you tell us more about you? And I think with this name of company like UDI Experts, you are the best person maybe to talk to us about Master UDI-DI. So tell us more about you now.
Sure. So regarding my educational background, I graduated from the University of Illinois at Chicago in the USA. I did bioengineering, specifically cell and tissue engineering. I worked at companies such as Abbott Laboratories, Baxter Healthcare, Pfizer, Hospira, ICU Medical. And with UDI, I have around 10 years experience with UDI, doing data collection, data registration, leading cross-functional groups, submitting the data and working with notified bodies, such as like the FDA and other regulatory bodies. And so it's been a passion. I really like the whole UDI aspects and the things that we deal with UDI. And so it's I've been working with all types of medical device manufacturers, and so it's been really great.
Great. So thanks for that. And as we said, so the UDI starts to be a big story, if I can say, or a series, because we had first the UDI-DI when we talked mainly about with the US, because I think the US were the first to put that in place. Now then we have Europe that took it and added it to it basic UDI-DI. And now they are adding to it Master UDI-DI. So maybe you can help us just as a high level to really understand what is the difference between all those three. So mainly what are we talking about here?
Sure. So yeah, UDI, as you mentioned, started with the US FDA. This was around 2016 was the first compliance start date. And so UDI which stands for Unique Device Identification. So what this basically does, this identifier, it identifies the company that has manufactured the product. It identifies that the device itself. And then also you have production identifiers such as lot number, manufacturing date, if there's an expiration date, serial number. All that's incorporated in this UDI. So if we think of addition, for example, UDI equals device identifier, which in terms, usually we say global trade item number or GTIN, plus the production identifiers. And that makes it unique on a global level. So for example, if I have an infusion pump and it's here in my office with the serial number of 12345, for example, there shouldn't be any other serial pump that has this, that's made by the specific manufacturer and with this serial number. It should only exist here with me right now and nowhere else. And that's one of the benefits is like counterfeited products. It enhances the identification, and it kind of prevents counterfeit products where they could say maybe they don't know about UDI, or maybe they have a serial number that's, for example, let's say this one is in Finland and the one I have, the original one is here, then that one is counterfeited because there shouldn't be two devices with the same serial number, for example. So that's just a quick example how you could prevent counterfeited products from entering the market by this enhancement of UDI.
So if we now go to basic UDI-DI, so what's this beast, if I can say?
Sure. Yeah, basic UDI-DI is applicable to the EU, the European Union, where they want to identify either a single device or a family of devices. So for example, if I have, let's say I'm a manufacturer and I have 10 devices and they have the same risk class, they have the same intended purpose, and they have the same design and manufacturing characteristics, then I could have this basic UDI-DI associated with all 10 of these products. So it's kind of grouping families of devices, if you will. And so that's what the EU, they identified that they want to have this additional identifier of the basic UDI-DI. And so that's one that is extra for the EU specifically right now. And we could go into more information about it, but yeah, that's kind of what we have right now for I call it the buddy. A lot of people call it the buddy, the basic UDI-DI.
So this mainly helps to group products, and apparently all this was not sufficient. Uh, then they created the Master UDI-DI. So we are going again an additional level like UDI-DI, basic UDI-DI, and master UDI-DI. I mean, maybe there will be a hyper UDI-DI later. I
Yeah,
don't know where they are going with this. So
yeah.
what's the objective here to have this master UDI-DI then?
Sure, sure. So the Master UDI-DI is where we look at certain design parameters. For example, for this Master UDI-DI, it's for highly individualized devices, such as spectacle frames, like basically my frames without the lenses, ready readers that have the lenses already pre-installed into the spectacle frame, or even prescription lenses the intention is to have those lenses installed into the spectacle frame. So the Master UDI-DI, which I call MUDI, applies to these highly individualized devices. And there's four, as I mentioned. There's the spectacle frame, there's the prescription lenses, there's the ready readers, and there's also contact lenses. And the reason being is they know there's so many variations of devices. For example, if you have, let's talk about for the ready readers. So you have these ready readers, and the basic UDI-DI parameter for a ready reader, there's a couple of parameters for the ready readers. You have the construction of the ready reader. So you could have it where it's fully rimmed, where the lenses are fully rimmed inside of the spectacle frame. You could have that type of construction for the ready reader. You could have it where it's half rimmed. The lens is in the spectacle frame, but it's half rimmed, meaning the other bottom half could be a material such as nylon. It's held by nylon. Okay, so that's talking about the construction of the ready reader. But then the basic UDI-DI also has the ready readers.
Master UDI-DI, I suppose.
Yes, yes. So for the master, if we want to do the master UDI-DI for the ready reader, so now we have the lens. The lens itself it's called a horizontal box lens size. So this lens right here, it takes the maximum width of the lens, and it could be a value from like 40 millimeters to 60 millimeters. Now, for each of those sizes would have to have its own master UDI-DI. So let's just say mine is 40 millimeters, then that would have its own master UDI-DI. Now, if there's another pair of ready readers that's 50 millimeters, that would have also its own master UDI-DI. So that is affiliated with the ready reader.
If you have inside your portfolio multiple ready readers that are maybe different but having the same size here, so they will be under one master UDI-DI also, or how do you see that?
So if you have, for example, yes, if you have a manufacturer and they say you could have several brands, you could have several catalog numbers, and this is all information for the Medical Device Coordination Group 2025-8. It talks about the Master UDI-DI, and then also in the EU Commission Delegated Regulation. This one is the Delegated Regulation, the 2025-1920. It talks about the assignment of these Master UDI-DIs. So as you mentioned, if the lens is 40 millimeters and you have different brands, for example, they're saying right now all you need is one master UDI-DI. But if you say, no, well, I have two different widths, so now you need two master UDI-DIs. And it could apply to one basic UDI, but in this case, you would need two master UDI-DIs, and it continues on. If you have 3 or 5 different sizes, then you would need the 3 or 5 different master UDI-DIs.
So before the master UDI-DI that was created, then I think the problem was that you would have to create a UDI for each small variation. And this master UDI-DI then is reducing that, so it's making it easier, if I can say, for those manufacturers now.
Yes, it may make it easier, like you mentioned, if you have like 100 pair of spectacle glasses, you may say, I'm gonna make a UDI-DI for brand A, and then I'll make another UDI-DI, a different one for brand B. And then you could keep on going on with the brands. And then but in this case with the Master UDI-DI, you don't have to make it. If you have 100 brands, as long as it has the same Master UDI parameters, as we said, and I didn't mention the other part of the additional design parameter for the Ready Reader, and I'll mention it right now. So the first one we said, the horizontal box length size of the Ready Reader. And then the second one is the sphere power of that Ready Reader, which could range from 1.00 diopters to 3.50 diopters. So that's another thing that has been added, that, if you have different sphere power for different lenses or different Ready Readers, now you got to have a Master UDI for each of those different sphere powers of that lens.
So this, I suppose, this will create a mess for manufacturers, but also for regulators to look at all that. Also for UDAMED, I suppose you will have a database with tons of products. So this is mainly a relief, if I can say. So do you think it's really a relief for some of the manufacturers?
I think I would say just to keep it organized and structured so that, for example, if you have this Master UDI-DI applied to a Ready Reader, that right away, okay, this Ready Reader is identified by this Master UDI-DI. It applies to this specific horizontal box length size. And this kind of makes things efficient, streamlined, where if you say it only applies for example, 40 millimeters for the horizontal box length size, now it applies strictly for that. And you may have, as we said, brand A, brand B, brand C, but since it all has the same Master UDI-DI, it would apply to those specific Ready Readers. And similarly, if we add the other design parameter of the sphere power, then we could narrow it down to, this is for sphere power 1.00 diopters. And so it kind of limits, what we're looking at. And this is really good because if there's device recalls, it's great to have a UDI, in this case, Master UDI-DI, that identifies this specific Ready Reader. And then with the production identifier of saying, hey, the lot number is 12345, now we went and did it specifically for that lot. So you could say, hey, let's pull out lot 12345 because there's a screw that's damaged. And so the Ready Reader is just, it's defective. So now they could go ahead and pull that specific lot out of the supply chain. So there's many benefits, as we mentioned, counterfeit products. We could try to prevent or investigate products that need investigation to be performed because of defective products.
So how it will be visible now? We know that, for example, that the basic UDI-DI is not visible on the products or the label. We have the UDI-DI that normally is visible on the label or on the product if it's reusable, etc. What about the Master UDI-DI? So it will be also on the label, or it will replace the UDI where we have the UDI on the label, or how do you see that, the carrier?
Great question. So right now, if you have a spectacle, the Ready Reader, if you have that, you could have right now a UDI on there, not a Master UDI-DI, but you could have the UDI because the regulations, it's still kind of like we're working with the work groups. So for example, I'm working with the GS1 work group, and we're basically we're doing the finalization of these regulations. So now you ask, okay, well, can you have that Master UDI-DI on there? And the answer is yes, you can. And also we could have that data inputted into EUDAMED because there's a section for that Master UDI-DI. It's actually the same section as the UDI itself. But you may say, okay, well, how do you differ between the Master UDI-DI and if you have a UDI on there, the global trade item number? That differs by the application identifier. So for the global trade item number, it has an identifier of 01, while the Master UDI-DI has an identifier 8014. And so now, okay, what about the labeling? Regarding the labeling, it's required for the labels to be updated by November 1st of 2028 to have that Master UDI-DI associated with these highly individualized devices. It's required to have it on there by November 2028. But with the EUDAMED database going live May 28th of this year, we could enter the global trade item number. We could enter even the Master UDI-DI. You could even enter both. And the Master UDI-DI differs from the global trade item number because the Master UDI-DI, actually, you can have a letter. You have to have a letter in that Master UDI-DI. For the global trade item number, it does not have a letter. But for the Master UDI-DI, you have a letter in there, and then the last two characters of the Master UDI-DI is a checksum. And so it's a calculated variable. It's calculated. And so we could have that Master UDI-DI calculated with two characters at the end, while for the global trade item number, the checksum is actually one character. It's one digit at the end.
So let's say that now people, okay, understand mainly what we are talking about. I hope, because it's still technical. So it's really something that is really technical.
Sure.
They already struggled with the UDI-DI. Now they will have to struggle with the Master UDI-DI. So what do you think can be the mistake that they can do when they are creating this Master UDI-DI? So is there like something like everybody's warning to say, be careful of this or be careful of that related to the Master UDI-DI? Or you think, no, it's straightforward, the creation of this, there is no real problem, etc. So is there something that you would be warn people about that?
Yeah, so the Master UDI-DI, I would say I would point to the MDCG 2025-8. It's very detailed and it lists out the different highly individualized devices. It lists out the Master UDI-DI for the ready readers, for the spectacle frames, for the spectacle lenses. So it lists it all out, the variations of those. It also lists out the basic UDI-DI parameters for those three highly individualized devices. So the MDCG document is a great document to reference. You also have that EU Commission delegated regulation. That document also is great to reference to. And there's with GS1, they have a calculator. So if you have, for example, these spectacle frames that you want to have a Master UDI calculated correctly, they have the calculator online. They could go in there, plug in the company prefix, which identifies the company, the manufacturer, label manufacturer, and then you enter the reference item number. The item number identifies the device itself. In this case, let's just say it's the ready readers. And then once you put that into the calculator, it will give you the checksum, which is, as we said, it's two characters, and it'll give you the correct checksum. So taking these things into consideration, it's very important to make sure that it's calculated correctly, because I have worked in the past where the UDI actually was not even calculated correctly. And as we know, that costs a lot of money to fix. Products may have to be recalled. The customer may not be able to see the data into the UDI database. In this case, it was the FDA Good ID database. And it's kind of, it's not really good to have incomplete information. So all those guidances are there. Obviously, with us, if they have any questions, they can reach out to us. We could guide them as needed. And that would kind of help with that, with assigning the Master UDI-DI.
So as you mentioned, we have the date of the EUDAMED to be filled by May. We have this date that you mentioned for Master UDI by November 2028, so it's like 2 years. So should we say, oh, now you have to start to do it now? Or should we say, no, you have still some time, so we are, if I can say, educating you now and hoping that mainly you will be ready by November 2028. So what is the message here related to that? So what do you think? Is it like an urgent matter to work on now, or we have time?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So I would say the sooner the better. As you mentioned, May 28th, the EUDAMED compliance date. And since Master UDI-DI is already in there, if possible, the labeling should be updated accordingly to reflect Master UDI-DI. It could reflect the the Master UDI parameters and the labeling, also the basic UDI parameters. The sooner the better. And I would say, yeah, the deadline, as you mentioned, November 2028. But I would say the sooner the better that could be worked on, because if we wait, then you're gonna have to do it either way. And it's all about the strategy. You want to change it or update it right now, then you could do it right now. And it takes time, of course, all the labeling, updates, connecting with the cross-functional groups, project manager. I strongly recommend project managers to be involved with UDI to drive the project to completion. And yeah, it would take a good amount of time. And then with all these variations of the Master UDI-DI and their design parameters, it could get kind of messy. So the sooner the better. Save money and time. I'd say we try to get it done as quickly as possible.
So yes, this is also mainly a question of what to do first. So what would be recommended to do now? I mean, do you think they can it's easy to do it by themselves, or they have to hire some company like yours to help you, or what's mainly the steps that they have to go for maybe, as you say, not being late and being compliant by the date? Because I know that, yeah, the companies are, if you say to them, oh yes, you have still some time, they will wait until the last moment, and then it will be an urgent matter, and everybody will be go crazy and starting to search for resources to work on that, etc. So I mean, what would be the recommend the first step mainly to then be starting this project?
Sure, sure. So I would say first thing is look at this MDCG, the guidance document, look at the regulation. You have the MDR 745, you have the EU delegated regulation, the 2025-8, and I'm sorry, the 2025-1920 for the delegated regulation. The EU Commission does a great job on their website with infographics, with guidances, with Q&A documents. They do a fantastic job with that. And once someone dives into all that, tries to understand it, I would say maybe check with someone else, whether it's someone on your team, someone within your organization. Of course, UDI experts, we're here to support if there are questions, whether they're simple or complex. We're here to support medical device manufacturers. And yeah, I would say reach out to consultants. It's better to make sure it's right from the beginning than to have, for example, incorrect Master UDI-DIs or incorrect values on the labels. It's better to get it right from the first time and then submit it and register it into these databases. I will also mention that this Master UDI-DI, so for example, if there's an adverse event, one of the questions on the adverse event report is UDI, and also they have Master UDI-DI because they want to identify which product had this report, this manufacturer incident report, MIR. So that's another area. Not only you have the UDI module in UDAMED, but you also have the vigilance module that does ask, or it identifies, okay, what is this Master UDI-DI? So and that vigilance report or the vigilance module is going to be effective this year. So it goes hand in hand with this vigilance also. So yeah, I would definitely recommend just kind of maybe if necessary, reach out to us or other consultants just to ensure that the medical device manufacturers are conforming to the regulations for this highly individualized.
So we talk about UDAMED, but we have in the US the GUDID. We have now other countries that are starting all that. So what we talk about now on Master UDI is specific to Europe mainly. You don't have to do that for US, and you don't have to do that for other countries.
Correct, yes. The manufacturers may decide that they don't want UDI is voluntary for, like, let's say for ready readers. It's voluntary, they don't have to, but if they want to, they can do it per the Vision Council. And so right now, yeah, if they want to do it, then they're given the option. But like you said, it's strictly right now the EU is where they're saying we have to have these identified and registered into UDAMED.
So does it make EU like a really a region that is putting a lot of regulations? Because it's the reputation that we have here is like we are really focusing on regulation on things, but Because US started that first, so I mean it's like we are adding to what US already has done.
Yeah, it's when I saw all those attributes in UDAMED, when we're talking around 130 data elements associated with UDI compared to the US, you have around like 65 data elements, so it's like double. Yeah, it's double. So yeah, it's I guess the more data elements associated with a UDI, the more we'll be able to identify this device, make sure it's a safe and effective product. So yeah, it's I remember back it was when I was at Hospera when I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, 130 data attributes. That was a big shock to me. But it's some of the data attributes are similar or even exactly the same. So like, and they group them under. You have data elements under the basic UDI-DI that may be similar or exactly the same in the UDI uh, category, if you will. So it's not as bad as people think it is, but we're here to support data collection, data registration, things of that sort. So yeah.
Yeah. So mainly, yeah, who should contact you? I mean, you have your company like UDI Experts. You are mainly helping companies related to UDI. So who should contact you and what kind of service you can provide and support those customers? So mainly, yeah, so just to understand more about, yeah, for the people that are listening, can you help them with all this mess that we are talking about now?
Definitely, definitely. So we have medical device manufacturers contact us. We even have one of the giant tech companies of the world, thank God they contacted us too. And we have, basically who could contact us? Medical device manufacturers, importers, authorized representatives, regulatory representatives, of course, within the medical device manufacturers. I even talk with sometimes the FDA. They have a great help desk. And so, yeah, anybody, in that whole industry, the medical device industry, they could contact us. My email is the general email support at UDIexperts.com. Once again, support at UDIexperts.com. We're willing to take all new inquiries, and we have those services where we could do the data collection, data registration. We could support creating a UDI label. Even, we work with strategic partners for the EIFU. Of course, Monir has, the EIFU is the easy EIFU. So, and I
Yeah.
use it. It's a great tool. Thank you very much for making that available to the globe. It's a great, phenomenal tool that we do the IFUs for medical devices and in vitro diagnostic devices also, because that's another regulation for the EU is the in vitro diagnostics. So great job, Munir, on the EIFU. Really love it. And I
Thank
tell
you.
my customers about it too. And it's really very useful and great prices too. So thank you so much.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. So great. So I said, yeah. So many, if we have here some question about UDI, I think you can help. So if a customer has just some issues to maybe start to create their UDI, you can help. If they want to create all the UDI table for their portfolio, you can help. Many is that. Can you help also to maybe transfer that to GUDID or UDAMED or those platforms?
Of course, of course. We could transport it. We could do uploads. We could do it manually. We could do machine to machine. We could do the whole UDI validation and verification, make sure everything's in alignment with the UDI databases. Yes, we have all that, and even if you want to talk about PLM systems, product lifecycle management systems, we have strategic partners with that. So it's UDI Experts is a one-stop shop. We have the premier UDI solutions, and we strive to give the best prices and the best service. And to be honest, we just want to make sure that these devices conform to the regulations. We do training every year. I'm trying to shoot for 100 this year, God willing. So we do right now. It's free training. We train them on UDI, so that they get the experience and know what this whole regulation's about. So yeah, definitely they could reach out to us and we could support them.
Great. Okay, so don't hesitate if you have any question in the audience to ask Usam from UDI Experts. I think yeah, there are there is more and more work for some companies related to UDI, and this maybe can be also a struggle related to the resources. So don't hesitate them to work with Hussam for that. So Hussam, really thank you for all your information. I hope this will help the people related to the Master UDI-DI. And maybe we'll contact you if there is a hyper UDI-DI or a super UDI-DI that is coming later. And
Excellent.
we
Excellent.
see that. Okay,
Appreciate
so
that.
Hussam, thank you very much, and I wish you
Thank,
a nice day.